winning the World Series in 2022. But I know where you're going with that.
No,
We're winning the World Series this year. Put it on record.
You are winning the World Series.
We are winning the World Series.
The 2022 Dodgers were an absolute juggernaut, but that's nothing new. They've been a juggernaut for years now. In 4 of their last 5 full seasons, the Dodgers have won over 100 games, going on to win 111 games in 2022, the most in franchise history and the most of any team in baseball this year. On the surface, people think the Dodgers are so incredibly great and consistently so because they have a ton of money and some superstars, and although that certainly plays a part, the success is much deeper than that. The 2022 Dodgers consisted of some stars like Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Trey Turner, and Clayton Kershaw. Did those guys play a part in the team's dominance? Absolutely. But without them, I'd argue the Dodgers are still a good team because of the system they have and the way they build their team. Along with the big names like Mookie and Freeman, the Dodgers also had Trace Thompson come out of the clouds to produce in the lineup. Gavin Lux was solid, so was catcher Will Smith. Hell, even guys who typically have good years like Chris Taylor and Max Muncy weren't even that good, yet the team was better than ever. They just find production where you'd least expect it while also having enough money and resources to go out and spend on big name players. Rinse and repeat. They even had a guy like Cody Bellinger, former MVP award winner, completely fall off the map, yet they're just as good as a team if not better compared to when he was an MVP. A lot of teams wouldn't be able to recover from their best player at the time regressing, but the Dodgers are just built different. As far as the pitching goes, it's the exact same thing. The Dodgers had 4 starting pitchers this year, all with an ERA below 3. As for the bullpen, ever heard of Evan Phillips? Exactly. Well, he went out and became the most dominant Dodger reliever in 2022, with another new name in Alex Vesia being the second best. As a team, the Dodgers pitching staff put up a 2.80 ERA. That's pretty insane, and this team is almost too good to be true. When it comes to the Dodgers-Padres quote-unquote rivalry, it's been pretty one-sided for years. I mean, the Dodgers have been good for so long. Meanwhile, the Padres hadn't made the postseason since 2006, not doing so again until 2020, and who did they have their season end by the hands of that October? The Dodgers. The Padres have never been a juggernaut of an organization, and despite building such a deep roster and dishing out a ton of money to superstars, it just never truly seemed like they were actually better than the Dodgers. What they did was break the trade deadline in 2022, dealing for Josh Hader and then Juan Soto. And you know what happened? Nothing really changed. The Dodgers continued to win like hell, and the Padres, although still a good team, just couldn't compare to the success of their rival. I mean, literally, the head-to-head matchup said so. I want to give a big thanks to SeatGeek for sponsoring this video. The baseball postseason is in full swing, which means you can get $20 off tickets at SeatGeek with promo code ITALK. If you don't know what SeatGeek is, they're a ticketing app that makes buying tickets super simple. I've got the app on my phone, and it's by far and away the easiest way to buy tickets. Whether it's baseball, concerts, or any other type of sport, SeatGeek puts tickets from all over the web in one place to make buying incredibly easy. And they actually tell you if the ticket you're thinking of buying is a good or bad deal. Green means it's a good one, red means it's a bad one. Like I said, we're in the thick of the MLB postseason, and if you're watching this video, that probably means you like baseball. To get the best seats with the best deals possible at the biggest games possible, I'd be using SeatGeek for when I go to a Major League Baseball game, and you should too. Get $20 off your first purchase with promo code ITALK. Make sure you click the link in the description or in the comments to download the app. Now, back to the video. The Dodgers absolutely owned the Padres in 2022. In 19 games between the two teams this year, the Dodgers went 14-5. 14-5, and in those 19 games, the Padres had a negative 62 run differential. The Dodgers were the Padres' Padre, so naturally, when the Padres beat the Mets to move on and face the Dodgers in the NLDS, the extremely safe pick was LA for the series. Before the series began, when asked about the red-hot Padres, Freddie Freeman had this to say, quote-unquote, "They're hot, and we've been hot for 7 months." A bit of arrogance and confidence? Sure, but he has a point. The Dodgers were never really a struggling team throughout the entirety of the season. I mean, hello, 111 wins? To add on to that, the Dodgers finished 22 games over the Padres in the standings, and of course dominated them in head-to-head matchups. So why would they be scared? The Dodgers picked up right where they left off in the regular season, going up 5-0 early on the Padres, and despite giving up 3 runs in a row, the Dodger bullpen would hold it down for the win in a 1-0 series lead. Here comes Clayton Kershaw for Game 2. Manny Machado immediately put the Friars on the board in the first, smoking a solo shot off of Kershaw, only for Freddie Freeman to then connect for a solo bomb of his own, followed by a Max Muncy homer on the second to put the Dodgers back up a run. Manny would get Kershaw again for an RBI double, a Jay Cronenworth groundout gave them the lead, but the Dodgers punched right back with yet another home run off Yu Darvish, this time coming off the bat of Trey Turner. Darvish may not have had his sharpest night, but the Padre bullpen shut it down while the Padres tacked on a couple runs, capped off by a baseball thrown into the Crone zone for Jay Cronenworth to hit into the LA night, as the Padres tied things up heading home. Game 3 was the first Padres playoff game at home since 2006, and the Petco Park crowd was rocking. I mean, this was the place to be. The atmosphere was great, and the Padres delivered for their fans. Game 3 was full of great pitching, with the Trent Grisham home run being the difference, leading Josh Hader to pitch a 1-2-3 ninth for the win and a 2-1 series lead. All of a sudden, just like that, the Dodgers were a game away from being eliminated, and through the first 6.5 innings, they played with a sense of urgency, taking a 3-0 lead into the bottom of the 7th inning, 9 outs away from heading home for a decisive Game 5. And that's when the floodgates opened. A walk, a single, followed by an RBI double, and then an RBI single by Juan Soto would tie it all up at 3 with nobody out. Things were looking great for the Padres to take the lead and more. That is until a Machado strikeout and Brandon Drury pop-out would make it all up to Jay Cronenworth against the lefty Alex Yessia. In the middle of the at-bat, when I tell you the Dodgers just gave Juan Soto a free stolen base, I mean they literally just let Soto dance on his way to second freely. Their next mistake? Throwing a ball into the Crone zone for Cronenworth to smoke up the middle for a 2-run single, giving the Padres a 2-run lead and just 6 outs away from winning the series. The offense had to do something to keep their season alive, and if any offense in Major League Baseball was capable of doing such a thing, it was the Dodgers lineup. It doesn't take a genius to assume a team that won over 110 games had a good lineup, but in reality, this Dodgers lineup was one of the greatest of all time. The 2022 Dodgers offense had the best run differential since 1939, scored the most runs in baseball, was first in OPS, had the best on-base percentage, were behind only the Atlanta Braves in slugging percentage by 1 point, and were top 5 in pretty much every single other offensive category. Despite being such an offensive threat, the Dodgers did nothing. Going down in order in the 8th, going down in order in the 9th, as Josh Hader would strike out Mookie Betts, Trey Turner, and Freddie Freeman to end their season and move the Padres onto the NLCS for the first time since 1998. 111 wins down the drain. That is beyond tough. What this shows is a number of things. To start, baseball is never easy to predict. It also shows how little the regular season matters at the end of the day once the postseason begins. The regular season of course matters, but it doesn't play any factor into playoff games. Nobody cares that the Dodgers won 111 games during the 162 game schedule. You think the Padres gave much thought to that? Everyone starts fresh, may the best team win, and in this case, although they had the best record by far, the Dodgers just weren't the best team. At this point, if you're a Dodgers fan, player, coach, front office person, or anybody tied to that organization, what gives? The Dodgers have made the postseason every single year since 2013. In that span, they have won 9 division titles, had 400-plus win teams, MVP awards given out, Cy Young awards given out, and all there is to show for it is a championship that was won in a 60-game season that had no fans able to see any of it in person. Were the Dodgers the best team in 2020? 1000%. But you can't tell me it doesn't hurt as a Dodger fan, player, or whatever to have your ring come in that season of all of them. 2017 would have been a nice ring to have, same with the 106-win 2019 and 2021 teams, and oh yeah, the Dodger team that accomplished what no others had before, winning 111 games. I'll forever die on the hill that if I was a Dodgers fan, as much as I would be happy with how 2020 turned out, I wouldn't be satisfied until they won in a normal, more legitimate year. That might ruffle some feathers, but that's just how I feel. You can look at this 2 ways, viewing the last decade of Dodger baseball as a success because of the winning seasons, even though they only won 1 championship and it wasn't in a normal season. Or you can view this as a failure because they never won a championship in a normal season and choke every time they're the favorites. You tell me. The Dodgers are by far the most dominant and successful regular season team in baseball. No debate. They consistently pump out great teams every single year. But, unfortunately for them, baseball isn't just what you do in those first 162, but also what you do afterward. And in the Dodgers' case, they have yet another long winter and offseason ahead of them.